called to be friend. Calling to me always felt like something huge, something out of the reach or humongous rather. But call to be a friend sounds very close to the heart, very close to a person, because you could never say, I was never called to be a friend. We can never say that because we all do have friends ever since our childhood. So when I looked into this word to be called as friend, I was completely astonished as to how much and how many verses there are about friendship. From Genesis, it starts with friendship of God with Adam. When Eve came along, God spent time with Adam and Eve. It starts as a story of friendship in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so through and through, when I saw, I was like, wow, so much is given, which I've never meditated really. So this time when I was meditating, I was really touched, and what surprised me is God has made us for friendships. He has made us for close relationships. Through the Bible, there are so many aspects. Father, son, mother, daughter, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. Brotherly friendships, sisterly friendships. There is so many friendships that is given through, but God still has a standard for us. First is, what does the Bible tell about choosing a friend? Okay. Second is, what is God's standards for us? When we call somebody else as our friend, what does God expect us to do? Okay. Third is, what are the things that can break a good friendship? And the last, I want to look into what it is to be God's friend. Okay. So the first one. So what does the Bible talk about choosing a friend? Okay. There are many people who come into our lives who might be very friendly, who we might hang out, but we might term them as acquaintance. We do not take them to the next chapter of friendship. Okay. So where and how are we to choose? What does God tell about choosing a friend? Okay. Because we are actually such social creatures. That's the reason that COVID time was such a bad time for everyone, because this concept of alienating ourselves from our loved ones, cannot meet at church, go to a park, or even go to a school or college, was so mentally hard for everyone, because we are created to socialize, we are created to have a friend, we are created to nurture relationships. So when we choose a friend, what does the Bible tell us? In Proverbs chapter 12 verse 26, if you can take it, Proverbs chapter 12 verse 26, it goes like this: the righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of a wicked leads them astray. So though we meet so many people, we come across people, God tells us to choose our friends very carefully, to look into who they are and how their influence on us will matter, because one of the greatest influences, especially through school and college, I would rather say it friends, because whatever my friend will say, I will rather do. Okay, because I meet them and see them through, I think, literally 8 hours through the day, because they are with me through and through. So friends have such a huge influence on us that God even puts down in His word that when you make friends, when you bring them between more than an acquaintance, when you're bringing them into your inner circle of really hanging out with them, knowing them, spending time with them, being open, your life being open to them and their influences being open, God is telling us and asking us to be careful. Why should we be careful? Because their influence can either make us or break us. Either we can be in a good company or a bad company. Our life decisions might change depending on who we are listening to, what advices they're giving to us. Okay, so one of the main reasons, even in the Old Testament, there are kings whose kingdom they lost because of the bad advices they got from their friends. So because it's such a crucial part of a person's life that God is telling, take time, know who you hang out with, know who you're sharing your life with, who are you bringing into the inner circle, whether they are going to add to your life or take it from it, whether they will build you or break you. So that is a reason that we have to even prayerfully ask, Lord, can I take this person or this family closer to us? Is it worth it? Are you with me in this decision? It's good to ask. 1 Corinthians chapter 15:33 goes like this. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Okay, so there is a proverb also, no? They tell, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Okay, which is very, very true. You hang out with a bad crowd, sure enough, you're going to become like them. So when you're choosing friends, God tells, pick a good one. Make sure you know who you're hanging out with. Don't be very blinded by, the aura of things that happens when you're hanging out and having a good fun. Know who you're going to be with. Okay, so this is one thing that God asks us. Choose your friend carefully. So what does God want us when we become friends? When we have close friends, what does God want us to do? Or what is the standard that God sets us? Okay, so when you look into the story of David and Jonathan, the story is, as you would have read through the Bible, King Saul was the appointed king then, but he fell off from God's favor and David was chosen. Okay, so Jonathan, who's supposed to be King Saul's son, should have looked at David with jealousy, should have looked at him with, as a competition. But in the Bible, it's so beautifully given that the moment Jonathan saw David, they had an instant connection. That's what the Bible tells. When you go through different versions, one version says like they literally connected just like that. Okay, maybe their friendship in our modern world, we could put it as it was meant to be. Okay, so Jonathan really loved. There's a verse which goes like, Jonathan loved David. Okay, he really gave everything to that friendship. They were close friends. Okay, so what happens when Saul wants to kill David? Where would Jonathan, loyalties lie? Technically it should have been with his father, because his father's kingdom is going to go to David. He should have tried everything to save it, But Jonathan was such a loyal friend that he goes, and what does he do? He goes to David and warns him, don't come, go hide. My father is out there to kill you. Okay, so through the Bible, when you read, Jonathan and David friendship is so beautiful that even after Jonathan and Saul dies, what does David do? David will call out his servant and tell, please go look out for anyone in Jonathan's family, because I want to honor them. I think in the olden days, when one clan or of a king, the whole family, the dynasty, I think gets killed or they're murdered. But David goes out looking for someone from Jonathan's family so that he could honor them because of the friendship he had with Jonathan. And sure enough, the servant brings home Jonathan's crippled son. And David looks at him as his own son, asks him to come and dine with him in the same table. See what a long way they go together. This is the reason that in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, 9 verse 10, you would have heard this most of the time quoted in, wedding cards. Okay, two are better than one. Okay, this really talks about friendship, because two are definitely better than one. Because if one falls down, one can help the other. When the beautiful thing about friendship is, while you're close, you're not just close through the good times. When you're just having good time, I'm a friend. Friendship really comes to a test when your friend is facing a disaster. A friend is going through some really hard time. When Job was ill, his friends when they knew that Job was ill and not doing well, in the Bible it is given that all three friends made an appointment to go and meet their friend and spend time with him and mourn along with him. That's the verse that is given. To make a conscious effort to be there for a friend of yours. That is what God asks of us, because that is the character of God, and that's what God wants out of us. Okay, so that's a very beautiful way. Job's friends travel. We don't know how far they were from Job, or how the news came to their ears, or how they had to travel. But they made it a point that they will come and they will be with their friend Job to just inquire of him, talk to him, figure out what and why and he's going through. Okay, and in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5:11, it's given, encourage one another, build each other up. Okay, so what, as friends, are we adding to someone's life? Are we building them? Are we, getting them out of a pit? Are we adding value into their life? How much are we giving in? Everyone would have experienced, some sort of a fake relationship or a friendship along the way. I'm sure everyone would have felt, when you had the money, or you had the power, or you had a good job, there might be people who would, call you constantly, tell you hello, send you a WhatsApp, want to hang out with you. The minute you lose your job and you're not in that power to, be of help, those people you won't see, you won't hear them call. In a world like this, when it's more or less seen, what can you give? What can I get? Many relationship and friendships are based on that superficial circle of what can I get or what can you give. I give this, I give you this back. Like, I'll scratch your back, up and down. But, are we as Christians called of God, should we be one among a fake friend? Look back, look into your life. Have you been in that giving end? Like, have you been a fake friend? If you were so, ask God for forgiveness, because God has called us to be there for our friends, to build them up, even when we cannot receive something from them. Even if you so-called can even term it as a useless friend, you are not going to get anything from them, but are you there for them? Are you there through their lows? That is something that we need to really look into our hearts, where we, along with the, when we are going along with what life brings, or with the culture we are brought up in, இதுக்கு பிறகு இவங்க பயன்பட மாட்டாங்க. In Tamil they will tell, இதுக்கு பிறகு அவங்க பயன்பட மாட்டாங்க, because having that friendship is of no use to you. So why be a friend? Everyone would have gone through a phase like that. Look back, if you've ever had a friend who fell away through a time like that, reconnect, because God wants us to build lasting friendships. He wants that from us. Okay, so we are called to build, we are called to encourage. Okay, the second one that I would want us to bring into attention is, are we believing and praying friend? Okay, In Gospel Luke, I love this story. Whenever I've heard this story of Jesus healing a crippled man brought by his friends who broke down a house to bring down their friend from the roof, I always thought this story was about God healing a cripple. Okay, but if you really read it slowly and with a vivid imagination, it is about friendship. Friends carried him in a mat. I don't know what mat. They dragged him or they carried him, we don't know. And we didn't know how long they carried him, whether they took turns to carry him on their shoulders or they put him on the bed and they carried him together as four. We don't know. They come all the way. They come to the house where Jesus is preaching. Okay, let's think they've come till the entrance of Deja Vu, and there's this like massive crowd. I mean, tens and thousands are just around that house that they can't even walk through. They can't even carry this man. When I was reading, I was thinking maybe his friends believed for his miracle more than what he would have believed. It did not stop there. The crowd did not stop them. They carried, I don't know how they carried him, but they carried him onto the roof. Still did stop. They broke down the roof. And what did they do? They brought him down. Think if Jesus was here and preaching, somebody coming down like this. I mean, they did not give any chance for Jesus to say, I cannot pray for him. There's too much crowd. They had made up their mind, we will not take no for an answer. Somehow, anyhow, we'll break a building to get you in. Okay, so this is the verse in Luke chapter 5:20. When Jesus saw their faith, he said, friend, your sins are forgiven. That word, when Jesus saw their faith, you know why that man got healed? Not because of himself, because of the faith his friends had. My God, he's such a blessed fellow to have such good friends who could, carry him, bring him through, meet all the crowd, carry him through a roof, break the house, bringing him down like a helicopter down in front of Jesus, that Jesus cannot miss but see him. So, what does this story actually tell us? What is our takeaway as a friend? For me, the thing that hit me was, we all have friends who are going through this impossible problem. It can be a financial problem, it can be a marital problem, it can be a health issue, or they're going through a depression, or they are in a bad addiction. What as friends are we doing about them? Are we just feeling sorry? Oh my God, you're not well. Oh my God, you're going through such a financial constraint. Oh my God, you're in a deep depression. Are we willing to be that kind of friend who would carry them through when they cannot walk? Are we willing to see the impossible, keep moving forward, immaterial of what the situation sees, and bring them to a place of victory? This when I read, my mind was going through so many friends who I personally had thought, there's no saving to it, or this is not going to happen. But when I was reading this really hit a nerve for me. Oh my God, the Lord really wants us to be that friend. And that moved the heart of the Lord. He looked at their faith and healed him. So if we are going to believe for a friend, we should pray that Lord fill us with faith, that we can pray, we can hope, we can intercede for this friend, because we do not want to lose them to the situation that they are in. So this is like a great lesson for me, and I was like, oh my God, Lord, I really want to pray for this friend and that friend and that friend who I haven't contacted for so many months, thinking that, no matter what I speak, they're not going to listen. No matter what I say, they're going to shut me out. No matter what I do, they're going to ridicule the words that I'm going, what the helpful words that we speak out of their depression or out of their addiction. They are just putting us off. And I was seriously encouraged and saying, Lord, give me that faith. And in Job, this is a verse that comes, Job chapter 16 verse 20, my intercessor is my friend. If you are called to be a friend, be an intercessor. If you can't do certain things, maybe you're not in the same town, maybe you cannot speak to them, do one thing that moves heaven and earth. Intercede for them. Pray. Bring them to the Lord's feet. Say, Lord, I pray for this friend of mine. Lord, save them from where they are. Bring them out of this pit. If you cannot do anything, but please do this, to intercede, to pray, because a true friend intercedes. In Daniel, book of Daniel, Daniel intercedes. He goes to the king and even talks about his 3 friends and appoints them as officials in the province of Babylon. There are so many things of interceding that we can do for our friends. So look up, look through your mind, see who you can intercede, see who you can build. Coming to the third side, things that can ruin a good friendship. So again, we all have had a friend that we would have got offended with. We thought, oh my God, I think that's it. Friendship is done. I can't handle these people anymore. So what does the Bible talk about offense and what it can do to friendships? Love prospers when a fault is forgiven, but dwelling on it separates close friends. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 9. See, we all could have walked away from a good friendship because of something that they did to us, or it would have been a shock of how they reacted or acted with us that so much offended us or brought in a resentment or unforgiveness that you feel that friendship is beyond repair. I cannot go back because this person did that to me at this time when I was a good friend to them. Why did they stab me in my back? When I did all that they asked. We all would have gone through a friendship like that sometime or the other. But what does God expect from us? What does God want us for them? Is to forgive, to look beyond the offense, to not dwell at the point that offended us. To keep thinking and thinking about it and talking about to everybody else. I'm very good at it. So I remember talking about that to my husband. I told, how dare she does this? So look back. Have you closed your friendship on someone who has hurt you because of unforgiveness? Ask God to help you with that. Lord, help, take away that offense, take that unforgiveness from me. If you have brought that person in my life, what is it that I can do back? Do good to them. What is it that I can be as a friend to them? Because God brings people for a reason. He might bring people for a season, but we don't know whether He's removing that person from our lives. If you're closing a friendship just out of offense and unforgiveness, ask God to help. Next one, Colossians chapter 3 verse 13. Make allowance for each other's faults. Forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. This is loud and clear. We don't need anything else. He's even telling us, make allowance for each other's faults. What God is telling, we are all humans. We will falter. We will do wrong. You will get offended. Look beyond it. Because why? I forgive you. Forgive the way I have forgiven. The other thing that can separate close friends, good friendships, which can break families, break churches is one main thing: gossip. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 28. Gossip separates the best of friends. It's given in the Bible. Go read it up. So gossip has many faces right now. Maybe we all do not sit in one corner the way we sat in school or college and talk about somebody else's problem behind their backs. What do we do now? Lot of technology for that. Send a forward. Send a WhatsApp to groups. That happens, right? That is a very virtual gossip. Send Facebook post, Insta reel. You don't talk, but you type. Okay? We send so many useless, unnecessary, gossip-filled messages under the pretext of prayer. Have you? We Christians are so good at it. Okay? I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. This pastor did that. Do you know about to pray for them? Send it to 100 groups. Why can't you sit in one corner, shut the door and pray for them? This pastor sat up like this, wore this dress. Is it needed? Modern spiritual gossip. But that is not what God wants from us. You're concerned about something, take to God in prayer. It can be anyone, your family, your friend, your co-worker, a person you minister with, anybody. If you are not involved in it personally, don't talk about it. If it's not going to add value to somebody else, don't talk about it. If you know someone's closest secret, don't talk about it. Because what it is called? Gossip, according to the Bible. So this is such a detrimental thing that is so overlooked by believers that we feel it's okay to talk. It's okay to. You have a problem with someone, what does the Lord tell? Take 2 people and go talk to that person directly and finish it off. True, right? That's what in the New Testament it's given. Take elders, go and ask and finish it off. Don't take it to the court. Same thing. If you have a problem, if you heard something misleading, directly go ask the person, but do not talk about it behind their backs, because God doesn't want it from us. Because it's not what God intends in a friendship, because it can and it will break good friendships, good families, good churches. Coming to the last one, and the song they sang, we are a friend of God. While reading it, see, all this that we have spoken or I've spoken till is friendship that we have with our friends who we can see. But there is something more that we have all would have got hurt and we thought, okay, I don't want any friend. We all could have gone through a point like that. So who is going to be our constant friend? Who's not going to disappoint us? Who's not going to gossip behind our back? The one who will forgive us no matter what. The one who will be with us through it all. Who's that? In John chapter 15, verse 15, it goes like this. I no longer call you slaves, because a master doesn't confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends, since I have told you everything the Father told me. When you read all the 4 Gospels, the relationship that Jesus had with his disciples, he will go around picking up his disciples. How do they see Jesus then? They see him as a rabbi. They see him as a leader, they see him as a teacher, they see him as a miracle worker, they see him as a speaker, they see him as a revolutionary, they even have their own personal agenda, whether he'll be the next king and whether they'll have any post in his kingdom. Okay? But, all towards Jesus' ministry, when he is meeting his disciples, he is turning that relationship that the disciples looked at him, like they looked at him as a master. You know, definitely they did not look at him as an equal. But here, Jesus turns the whole coin. Okay, he is telling, I'm looking at you as a friend. Why is he looking at his disciples as a friend now? You know, he is actually told and showed everything that he was called to do on earth. You know, only to a friend can you openly be who you are. Don't you think so? You don't know, there are no special faces with friends. They know you the way you are, as raw as you are. You know, no makeup whatsoever. You are as crazy as, I can't use some words, as open you can be with your friend. And that's what Jesus is telling. From now on, you are not, I'm not a teacher and you are my student. Now you are my friend, because I have openly told you why I have come, what I am doing, what is expected of you. And then, while you read John chapter 15, when Lord is telling, this is what it goes like this. John chapter 15 verse 14, it comes like, there is no greater love than to lay down one life for one's friend. He tells that, and then he jumps and looks at the disciples must have been wondering, what is this man talking about? Okay, what is he talking about laying one's life? They did not understand about crucifixion that time. They did not understand what they were up to or what they are going to face. And here, Jesus, after telling this very verse, he calls them as friends and tells them, I have confided everything to you. There is no hiding, there is no mystery, there is no secret. This is the reason I have come, to lay my life for you all, because you are my friend. And if you are my friend, do whatever I command you. So it's divided into three parts. He's talking about, no greater love than one who lays his life for a friend, and suddenly calls them as friends. And then he puts the greatest challenge for all of them. Okay, he tells, if you love me, if you are my friend, you will do what I will say. So this is the same challenge that God is calling us to be. Apart from us being friends to the people that we physically see, physically we've grown up with, that we hang out with, we work, we have families with, God is calling us to something more, that it's a higher calling, I should say, that He's calling us to be His friend. Are we up to that friendship? Wow. Being friends with God, knowing whatever He wants to do and doing accordingly. When Paul tells, be imitators of Christ, it's literally be like Christ. So what is our work as a friend? Beyond what God has asked us to do, He's asking us to know Him, because He wants to share His plans. He doesn't want to have any more secrets, because He wants to know, He wants to tell everything that He has for this world. So are we up for that friendship? Are we there to commit ourselves for that greater calling? Are we ready to say, Lord, yes, I am your friend. I will spend time with you. I will put my time at your feet and ask what to do, and I'll be that light to this losing world.